Was there anything that happened during that second visit that caused you concern? Yes, Alan notified me that she had a vaginal infection. She was taking her to the doctor. Did you think that it was unusual for a young child to have a vaginal infection? Yes, I did. What did you do after that to seek help, or did you seek any help? Yes, Sarah and I go to Carol Gary. I couldn't hear your answer. We go to Carol Gary for counseling. Now, did you approach your attorney with these problems or these concerns that you had? Yes, I did. May I ask, Your Honor, are we referring to present counsel or prior counsel? Present. And was an appointment made to see Dr. Aguirre? Yes, it was. What is Dr. Aguirre's relationship to this case? He was appointed by the court. When was that? In the beginning. First, back in May, I believe it was. May of this year? Yes. Counsel, so that we don't have a lay witness testifying on the legal effect of Dr. Aguirre's relationship, do I understand that he was selected by the attorneys pursuant to a stipulation? That's correct. That's correct, Your Honor. And that the court's participation in the appointment was merely to receive that stipulation? That is correct. I guess Mr. Land could answer that better. Okay, now that is the status of our record, and the record will so reflect. I notice Dr. Aguirre has entered the courtroom. May I excuse this witness? It may be an appropriate time. Why don't you step down? Dr. Aguirre, please come forward. Face the clerk. Raise your right hand to take the oath. Would you state your full name? Roy H. Aguirre, A-G-U-I-R-R-E. I presume that Dr. Aguirre has already been stipulated to as being an expert, Dr. Land. It hasn't been done yet, but I will stipulate as to his qualifications to testify as an expert witness. The stipulation will be received and be made part of the record. Dr. Aguirre, when did you first, are you familiar with Mr. and Mrs. Klieger, Mrs. Rondinera and Sarah? Yes, I am. What was the first instance that you met them? I was appointed to do a custody evaluation, and my initial contact came on April the 3rd of this year, 1984, with Mr. Klieger. And then I subsequently also saw Mrs. Klieger, Mrs. Rondinera, and the child, the minor, as well. And then I wrote a report at the completion of that evaluation. And at that time, do you recall what your recommendation was? Yes. Could you tell the court what that was? Yes, my recommendation was that the parents split or share the custody. And I recommended 3 weeks with the father and 3 weeks with the mother until the child was of kindergarten age. After which it was my opinion that the child should be with the mother because of the logistics of when a child needs to have more stability in the process of going to school with their peers and so on. Now, after you saw the parties and the minor pursuant to the stipulation made in court, when was the next time, did you see them again? Yes, I did. And when was the next time that you saw them? Subsequent to the, I believe, the stipulation between the parents regarding the recommendation. I talked with Mr. Klieger. He made an appointment in May, or the first part of June. In order for him, he said he wanted to kind of improve his parenting skills and his relationship to young children and so on. And so I was willing to work with him on that basis. And how many times did you see him prior to the time that you made the recommendation? You mean for the custody? Yes, I saw him at 2 individual sessions. One which was to get the relevant issues involved in their custody, and then I also saw him with the child in a joint conference to observe the ways in which the child and the father related to each other. Now, Mrs. Minkies, it seems like you are getting testimony from Dr. Aguirre concerning a report previously entered and an order previously made. How will this line of testimony be helpful to this court in making its decision concerning modification of the custody order? This testimony really follows the order that had been previously made. Well, it's not clear to the court. I will tell you what I have. Okay. Let's try that one again.
Yeah, I'm good now. Yeah, I couldn't breathe.
Mrs. Rondinera, what is your relationship to Sarah? She's my daughter. And calling your attention to July of 1984. Did Sarah have her first visitation session with her father? Yes, she did. How long was that visitation? It was a 2-week visit. Was it supposed to be 3 weeks? Yes, it was. Why did it only last 2 weeks? Because she was ill. And who decided that she didn't go for visitation because she was ill? Alan did. Is that Mr. Klieger? Yes. After she got better, did she then go to stay with her father? Yes, she did. When she came back from that first visitation, was there anything that she said that disturbed you? Yes. Objection, hearsay, Your Honor. Sustained, Your Honor, it's not for the proof of the matter asserted, it's for Mrs. Rondinera's state of mind. They are alleging that she is making up all these stories. The objection is sustained. Did Sarah act differently after, in any way that caused you concern after she returned from the visit with her father? Yes. What were the things that caused you concern? She was very conscious of her vagina area. Did she use that word? Yes. Is that a word that you ever used with her? Yes. What did she say about her vagina area? She told me it was ugly. Were there other symptoms that she showed that disturbed you? Yes. She showed me tricks that her father taught her. What were those tricks? She got out of the tub and she refused to put on her panties. I pulled out the sofa bed and she laid down on it. I was in the kitchen. She called me in. I asked her to please put on her panties and she said, objection, hearsay, sustained. Were there any other symptoms that you observed? She's very conscious of it being red. Every time she takes a bath or whatever, she makes me look and make sure she's not red. Did she have any problems sleeping? Yes, she does. She has nightmares, wakes up crying. And did that happen since the visit with Mr. Klieger? Yes. Did you do anything to calm her with those nightmares? Yes. I sought help with Carol Gary. Now, did Sarah go for a second visit with her father? Yes, she did. And was there anything that happened during that second visit that caused you concern? Yes, Alan notified me that she had a vaginal infection. He was taking her to the doctor. Did you think that it was unusual for a young child to have a vaginal infection? Yes, I did. What did you do after that to seek help, or did you seek any help? Yes, Sarah and I go to Carol Gary. I couldn't hear your answer. We go to Carol Gary for counseling. Now, did you approach your attorney with these problems or these concerns that you had? Yes, I did. May I ask, Your Honor, are we referring to present counsel or prior counsel? Present. And was an appointment made to see Dr. Aguirre? Yes, it was. Now, what is Dr. Aguirre's relationship to this case? He was appointed by the court. When was that? In the beginning. First, back in May, I believe it was. May of this year? Yes. Counsel, so that we don't have a lay witness testifying on the legal effect of Dr. Aguirre's relationship, do I understand that Dr. Aguirre was selected by the attorneys pursuant to a stipulation? That's correct. That's correct, Your Honor. And that the court's participation in the appointment was merely to receive that stipulation. That is correct. I guess Mr. Land could answer that better. Okay. That is the status of our record, and the record will so reflect. I notice Dr. Aguirre has entered the courtroom. May I excuse this witness? It may be an appropriate time. Why don't you step down? Dr. Aguirre, please come forward, face the clerk, raise your right hand, and take the oath. Would you state your full name? Roy H. Aguirre, A-G-U-I-R-R-E. I presume that he has already been stipulated to as being an expert, Mr. Land. It hasn't been done yet, but I will stipulate as to his qualifications to testify as an expert witness. The stipulation will be received and be made part of the record. Dr. Aguirre, when did you first, are you familiar with Mr. and Mrs. Klieger, Mrs. Rondinera, and Sarah? Yes, I am. What was the first instance that you met them? I was appointed to do a custody evaluation, and my initial contact came on April the 3rd of this year, 1984, with Mr. Klieger. And then I subsequently also saw Mrs. Klieger, Mrs. Rondinera, and the child, and the minor as well. And then I wrote a report at the completion of that evaluation. And at that time, do you recall what your recommendation was? Yes. Could you tell the court what that was? Yes. My recommendation was that the parents split or share the custody. And I recommended 3 weeks with the father and 3 weeks with the mother until the child was of kindergarten age. After which it was my opinion that the child should be with the mother because of the logistics of when a child needs to have more stability in the process of going to school with their peers and so on. Now, after you saw the parties and the minor pursuant to the stipulation made in court, when was the next time, did you see them again? Yes, I did. And when was the next time that you saw them? Subsequent to I believe, the stipulation between the parents regarding the recommendation, I talked with Mr. Klieger. He made an appointment in May, or the first part of June, in order for him. He said he wanted to kind of improve his parenting skills and his relationship to young children and so on. And so I was willing to work with him on that basis. And how many times did you see him prior to the time that you made the recommendation? You mean for the custody? Yes, I saw him at 2 individual sessions. One which was to get the relevant issues involved in their custody, and then I also saw him with the child in a joint conference to observe the ways in which the child and the father related to each other. Now, Mrs. Menkes, it seems like you are getting a testimony from Dr. Aguirre concerning a report previously entered and an order previously made. How will this line of testimony be helpful to this court in making its decision concerning modification of the custody order? This testimony really follows the order that had been previously made. Well, it's not clear to the court. I will tell you what I have. Okay. $204 voice for 15 minutes. We are starting off with direct examination by plaintiff's attorney, Mr. Conger, C-O-N-G-E-R. Defense attorney, Mr. Bazan, B-A-Z-A-N. Okay, starts with a question by plaintiff's attorney. Ready? Is that her? Yes, it is. Where are you employed? Alliance Finance, located at where? 129 East Roland in Covina. In what capacity? Bookkeeper. Were you so employed on November 3, 1972? Yes, I was. Did you take a lunch break that day? Yes, I did. What time did you return? About 1. Well, we just went out and bought a sandwich and brought it back in and sat there and ate it. Did you go out again? Yes, I walked it down to Dial. Where is Dial located? Down the street about half a block. What time did you return? About 2. Were you alone at the time you returned? No, Joe was in the office, and when I walked in, did you walk in alone? Yes. Did you walk in the front door? Yes, I did. Did you notice anything unusual? No, I didn't really pay any attention. Did something of an unusual nature happen after you returned? I walked in and someone was standing at the counter. I didn't pay too much attention because most of the customers stand there like that. What counter? There's a front counter, and then the files and the safe are back beyond that. All right. Did you walk someplace? I started to walk around to go around to come around the back. Then what happened? Well, someone was standing there and he told me to walk around and hand him the money. Did you notice anything about this person? Well, I walked in the door. I noticed he had on a kind of a burgundy pink shirt and blue shoes. All right. Did you notice anything in his hands at the time? Well, when I walked around the counter, what did you see? He had a gun in his hand. What type of a gun? It was bigger than a .22. Was it a handgun? Yes, it was. Did he say anything to you? Well, when I started to walk around, I heard him say, somebody is coming, and then when I walked around, he told me to hand him the money. How far away were you from this person at that time? When I finished walking in, when he said, hand me the money. Well, I was walking around the counter. Where was that person? He was standing at the front of the counter. How far away from you was he? Maybe 2 feet. Would you recognize this person if you saw him? Yes. Is he in the courtroom? Yes. Would you point him out, please? The gentleman sitting right here. The record will indicate that the defendant, Charles Frederick Walker, has been identified by the witness. From here on in, we will refer to him as Mr. Walker. At the time he made that statement to you, did you observe him possessing the gun? Yes, I did. Was it pointing in any direction at all? Well, his arms were folded and it was kind of laying on one arm. Which way was the barrel pointing? This way. Which way? Left. After he made this statement, did he say anything else? Well, I handed him all the money in the cash drawer, and he asked still for the money sack, and Joe told him there wasn't one, and he said that somebody should come up with some more money, or he was going to start shooting. So Joe started pulling the cash drawer and showed him that there was no money in the office. What did you see him do with the money? I don't remember. Do you know how much was in the cash drawer? $272. And did he take anything from your purse? Yes, he did. What did he take? About $20. And did he say anything to you that occasioned that giving to him of the $20? No, not that I remember. And did he ask you for any money? Well, he asked me for the money out of my wallet. Who did? Mr. Walker. And did you just give him the money or the wallet? No, I just gave him the money. Why did you give him the money? I didn't want to argue with the gun. Why did you give him the money out of the cash drawer? I didn't want to argue with the gun. Did you fear that he might use the gun if you didn't comply with his demands? I wasn't sure. Can you tell us whether or not you were frightened? It didn't bother me until he threatened to shoot. How did you feel? A little bit queasy at the stomach. Were you frightened? Well, I would say I was frightened. I show you what has been identified as People's One for identification. Will you examine that garment, please? Can you tell us whether or not that appears to be the garment that was worn by Mr. Walker at the time? Yes, it does. I don't recall what you said he was wearing in the way of trousers. Levi's, what color? Navy blue. What about the shoes? They looked like they were kind of a new flocked blue slip-on, and they seemed to be out of place with the rest of the outfit. Your Honor, I have here what appears to be a couple of boots. They are rather high calf length. May these two items be marked collectively as People's Two for identification? Yes, I show you what has been identified as People's Two. Would that appear to be the color that was worn by Mr. Walker? Yes, it does. Do these appear to be the shoes? I could only see from where the Levi hit down. Put your hand to about where the Levi would hit. Yes, it looks like the boot or shoe or whatever you want to call it. Thank you. For the record, Your Honor, I think these are a size 9.5. Now, the record will so indicate. After you gave him your wallet, do you recall what happened after that? He told us to lie down on the floor. Then what happened? Well, then I believe he figured he had all the money in the office, and he told us to lie down on the floor and to give him a half an hour before we called the police. Did you lie down on the floor? Well, I was sitting with my arms around my legs. On the floor? Yes. Did you see him leave? No, because the counter is too high. Which door did he go out of? The front door. You didn't see which direction he went? Well, he walked to the front door. You could hear him. Then he turned around and came back in and asked if we had a buzzer back there, and Joe says no. He said, I mean it. Give me half an hour. Joe says, you've got all the time you want. Did you hear him go out? Yes. Did anybody call the police right away? Well, we gave him time to clear the front plate glass window, and then I locked the door and called the police. Did you give the description to the police? Yes, I did. The events to which you have testified to occurred in the county of Los Angeles? Yes. Did he have the gun in his possession at all times? Yes, he did. Was there anybody with him? No, I didn't see anyone, at least not inside. Right. That's all I have. Ma'am, calling your attention to People's One, do you call that color burgundy pink? Yes, I do. Okay. By flocked, do you kind of like patent leather type effect? Right. It was your impression that it was a slip-on shoe, right? Well, I said I could only see from where the pants hit down because there was no laces. I assumed that it was a slip-on. Okay. And do you recall what description you gave the police officers of the person? Yes. What did you say? I said about 6 foot, 6'1", black, and then I described the outfit, and I said about 30 years of age and about 200 pounds. Did you say anything about his facial hair? I said it was combed back and back around the ears and hung down to here, pointing to where it is just above the shoulders. Right. Okay. Was it slicked back? No. Not what I would call slicked back. Just combed back? Combed back. Did you say he had a mustache or a beard or anything of that nature? No. Did you notice whether he had a mustache or not? No, I didn't. Did you notice whether he had a beard? Well, I know he didn't have a beard. Was he clean shaven? I didn't notice that. Okay, I have no further questions of this witness. Mr. Conger, no further questions. May this witness be excused, gentlemen? No objection. No objection, Your Honor. You are free to leave the courthouse. Next witness, Frank Dapp. Your Honor, for the record, Frank Dapp will testify as to count 13. Strike that. Count 12. Please have a seat and state your full name for the record. Okay. Francis J. Dapp. Spell the first and last name Francis, last name D-A-P. Thank you. Where are you employed, sir? Dial Finance. Where is that located? 171 East Roland, Covina, California. In what capacity, sir? Credit manager. Were you so employed on November 3, 1972? Yes, sir. At approximately 2 p.m. Were you on the premises? Yes, I was. Did something of an unusual nature occur? Yes, sir. Where were you at the time the unusual commenced? I was behind my desk. What did you see or hear? A gentleman came in through the door. Which door was it? The front door, sir. Did you see him come in? Yes, sir. Was he alone? Yes, sir. What did he do? Pulled out a gun and said, "Get off the phone and get on the floor." What type of gun was it? I don't know, sir. I'm not acquainted with guns. Was it a handgun? Yes, a handgun. And did you get off the phone? Yes, sir. Then what happened? He instructed us to get on the floor. Who is that, sir? My manager, Bill Fish, myself, and our cashier, Judy Kane. Did you get on the floor? Yes, sir, I did. Then what happened? He instructed Judy, our cashier, to get the money out of the cash drawers. Did she go to the cash drawer? Yes, sir, she did. Did you see what she did? Well, she turned around to me and asked me where they were. She was fairly a new employee. Did you make that statement to a person here in the courtroom? Yes, sir. Would you point him out, please? Yes, sir. It's the defendant over there. What's the defendant wearing, please? The gentleman is wearing the white sweater. The record will indicate that the witness has identified Charles Frederick Walker. From here on in, we will call him Mr. Walker for identification. And did you know his name prior to the time the judge told you? Yes, sir, I did. How did you get that information? It was on the subpoena that I received. All right. Nobody pointed him out to you? No one actually pointed him out to me? No. Now, will you tell us what happened before I interrupted you? Like I said, Judy turned around and asked me where they were. I told her it was the first 2 drawers. Mr. Walker then proceeded to the front of the office and stood in front of the counter, looked at both of us, my manager and I, and Judy took out the money and handed it over to him. She did ask if she was supposed to put it in the bag, and he said no, just give me the cash. Did Mr. Walker take the cash? Yes, he took the cash. What form was it in? Coin or it was in bills? Bills, 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s. Did you see what he did with it? No, sir, I did not. And did he have any type of a bag? I don't recall seeing one. And did he have the gun in his possession at the time that Mrs. Kane handed him the money? Yes, he did, sir. How many drawers were emptied? 2, sir. Now, the 2 drawers were emptied. Then what happened? Well, he instructed Mrs. Kane to get back behind her desk and get on the floor behind her desk. And that's where I was, behind my desk on the floor. And then he walked down along the east side of the office behind the railing and instructed my manager to give him his license and so forth. Who is your manager? Mr. Philip Fish. Did you see him hand something to Mr. Walker? No, I didn't, sir. He wasn't. By that time, he was parallel with me, and Mr. Fish was between us. And then what happened? He instructed us all to get up and go into the back room. Judy went in, Mr. Fish went in, and as I started to go in, he wanted me to give my money to him also. So I took out my wallet and took the money out myself and handed it to him myself. What money did you hand to him? The money out of my wallet, which was bills, which added up to $49.50. Why did you give him your money? It was out of fear of being shot, I guess you can say. He had a gun pointed at me. And did you have the same fear at the time that Mr. Walker received the money from the cash drawers? I didn't have as much fear as when I was on the floor as I did when I was standing there in front of him, no. Have you told us everything that you observed in general in a summary? Yes, sir. What else did you see happen? Well, after he put us in the back room, he said, "Stay in here and do not call the police for a half an hour or he was going to come back and shoot my manager. He had his license to get him at home or something, I don't know." When we got to the back room, that's when Judy started crying and he came around and stuck his head into the room to see what we were doing. Who is he? Mr. Walker. Did he say anything? No, sir, he was checking. Did you see which direction he went after he left the second time? Yes, apparently he went out the back door. We have a back door window there. I move to strike this as a conclusion. Objection is sustained. Apparently went out the back door is stricken. Did you see which door he went out of? I didn't see which door he went out, no sir. After Mr. Walker left that location, did you see him again? Yes sir, I saw him pass our bathroom window going west. Would that be in the direction of Dial Finance? I am Dial Finance Alliance. Would that be in the direction of Alliance? It was towards that direction. Did you see any, strike that. Did you see where he went? No sir, that was it. I ran around and looked out the back door. Has everything you testified to occurred in the county of Los Angeles? Yes, sir. I have nothing further. Cross-examination. Mr. Dapp? Yes, sir. Okay. Now that person that you saw on the day, could you describe the hairstyle? The hairstyle, as I remember it, sir, from looking up, his hair was black. The style was sort of, to me it was unruly, and it was sort of a semi-bush afro. It wasn't, I cannot use afro in the terminology of afro, but it was sort of parted, and it was, I don't know, it was just out. But what time was it when he came into your place of business? A little after 2, I see. Are you indicating that as far as his hairstyle is concerned, that it was kind of standing up? Not standing up as much as the best I can describe it, was that it was like, it was out a lot more than usual for, it was not out as much as it would be for a pure afro, but it was sort of parted on the left side. It was sticking out as if it was just brushed with his hands. Nothing to really distinguish, or there was no name for the hairdo. You wouldn't say that it was slicked back? I would say that it was slicked back. Did you notice what kind of shirt he was wearing? The shirt to me was a pink burgundy, something like that. It was a color shirt. It was pink, it was a pinkish shirt. Was it a lighter colored shirt? It was a light pink shirt. A light pink shirt, light pink might have been the color. Okay. Have you had occasion to speak to Mrs. Jonke about the color shirt the person was wearing? Have I had occasion to speak with her? Yes, yes. Do you know who she is? Yes, I do. I guess I did speak to her about the crime itself. Did she tell you it was a pinkish colored shirt? She didn't tell me. She mentioned from her description that it was that color. Objection, Your Honor, it calls for hearsay. Move to strike. Objection sustained. Did you attend a lineup in regard to this matter? Yes, I did, sir. Did you have occasion to speak to her while there at the lineup? I spoke to her, yes. During the course of the lineup? Not during the course of the lineup. No, I did not. Were you seated near her during the course of the lineup? I was a row in front of her. Did you speak to anyone while the lineup was being conducted? No, sir, I did not. But we were instructed not to. Mr. Dapp, you indicated this person entered about 2 o'clock. Is that correct? I believe it was a little after 2. 2:01, 2:10? Well, sir, around the area of 2:10. It was about 10 minutes after 2. I would say that is about close.